Welcome back to the Scléip, the Shed series. So I just want to show some few more bits that I've managed to put up. I have this Lucas pint gap setter, and if you look at that, you'll see that it says 14 and 16 thou, so 14 there and 16 there. And this is a flathead screwdriver for loosening your pints, and then you could put in your feeder gauge. So I'm going to clean that up. I'm going to have him hanging here on the wall. Really cool. Some people used to put them on a key ring. Really nice. And of course the Ferguson 20 and 35 TVO here, you were meant to set them to 16 thou, so this feeder gauge would be perfect for that. Also kept going through the other parts, and I've got a few of them cleaned up, like this Dunlop Minor, as it's called, foot pump, and it's nice brass. It seems to be kind of a copper coating on it as polishing it up, so that's a nice little addition. Also got this grain sack here, so certified Bonba seed barley, and that's from Mount Mellick and Port Arlington. I remember I used to have to get the train back to Golliv. I was living way out in Carrow, out west Connemara, and I used to have to get the train to Port Arlington. And I remember seeing this grain store still there, so it's nice to have that bag on the wall. Bonba is an old name for Ireland, if I'm not mistaken. Going back, it would have been an old pagan goddess. So that's what that was called, Bonba. Moving along, what else did I get up? I got this old Austin badge up as well. So I drilled holes there and just nailed it up. I don't know if I showed the Ferguson badge. I tried to remove it from the bonnet, but it was too brittle, so I just squared it off a little bit, painted it Ferguson grey, and it's there, and it matches the original Ferguson 35 badge that again had a hole drilled in it there when I got it, so I just said I'm just going to use that for display purposes. Yeah, so that was that. I was playing around with the starter, spare starter. I had to strip this. I think I might have put the videos on this up. It was in a job lot of Ferguson 20 TVO parts, so I had to completely strip that. The Bendix was completely seized on it, so I managed to get all that moving, put it across the battery, and I might actually show that in my next video on the Go Belly. I might just put that across the battery and show it in motion, working. I was also working on this. If you remember in earlier videos, this piece of timber here was just painted white, so I did get some of these old Tech Limit grease guns. It's a nice one there with a nice handle, a bakelite handle. This is like a roller pin, like you'd see in a kitchen inside. There's a piece of timber, and you just fill it full of grease and it comes out with a spout. And these are nice as well. These would have been on some high-end cars. These, and this, the likes of this, is your smaller Tech Limit, I suppose, would be for a motorbike. And then these are something similar to what was used on the Ferguson 20. I have a few more of them coming with a kind of a flat, kind of a handle under there rather than this G-shaped handle, so D-shaped handle. So I'm going to tidy up a few of them. I think I have 3 sets of them, and I have 3 Ferguson spanners as well. So what I'm going to do with them is I'm going to clean up a set of one spanner and 1 grease gun, and they would originally come in the toolbox. They would have fitted perfectly in the toolbox, and I think they were the only 2 tools you would have got with the tractor. This is a Ferguson spanner here. So on one side you have the imperial measurements here. You have 3 inches and 6 inches, and on the other side has centimeters, 10, 20. This is 11/16, so this would have been for all of these bolts here. I need the big bolts, all of them, including these lads here. And then this lad here would have been for your wheel nuts, 1 inch and a 16th. It would have been for adjusting your front axle. If you're doing row crop work, or if you're working with ridges, if you wanted to adjust these dishes, then if you wanted to take them off, or you want to take off your wheels, then you can obviously turn them around, spin them inside out and all of that, put them each side of that bracket, and you'll get different wheel widths. So they're a nice addition to have if you have Ferguson 20 35 or a Massey Ferguson 35. They fit in just nicely, so I'm going to put in a picture of an original Ferguson 20 I seen on the internet with these still in situ, still in there. It was a barn find, so I will be selling 3 sets of these. Now, this isn't the correct Ferguson 21. They will be, they're on their way. The original one would have had just kind of a circular lad that you would have pushed in, so this would have been off something else, maybe a car or something. But I have 3 of these coming and 3 of the proper Ferguson 21, so I'll be selling them. And as I don't need to have that many of them on display, I have enough of them on display. So this tool here was called an awl. It was used by a carpenter. There's a little thread on the end of it there to help start it, and then it was able to kind of scrape out kind of like a drill bit nearly. It was able to just put a hole in a piece of timber. This was for setting your saw, the teeth on your saw. So the obviously one has to stick out one this way and one has to stick that way, otherwise the rest of the saw will, the blade of the saw will get stuck. So that's an interesting tool. Another grease gun. This one works on a thread, so it would have been screw in. I think the end is missing off him. You've got a nice soldering iron here, a nice bit of copper in the end. This is a lovely cabinet maker's flathead screwdriver. It's dated 1944. This is dated 1904, believe it or not. Serious amount of weight in that adjustable spanner. These were for, I think, were they for putting a ring in through a pig's nose, I think. There's kind of a slot in there where you would have put in a ring and closed it. And these are kind of a snips, again, for ringing pigs. This is an interesting tool. I think, if I'm not mistaken, what this is for is if you were changing a tire, we've all probably used tire levers to do it. It's kind of something we don't really do anymore now with the tire centers that we have, but you stick in a lever into your, let out your air, you stick in a lever, you hold it back, and that's the problem. You have to keep that one held back and then you start with another lever. Whereas this, when you can use the ratchet on it, you would have put this in them after your lever and it would have stayed holding in your tire. So I think that's what that is for. That's what I would use it for if I had to guess what it was for. I think that's what my guess would be back in the day. I remember doing that on the Fords and Major with the father at home, I can tell you. It was a fair bit of, it was a whole handling, as they say. There was a bit of work on it. So that's a nice tool from yesterday, as they say. Yesteryear maybe. Some other nice adjustable spanners here. There's some casting on it there. Snail was a Snail brand. I know the Fords and tractors use a Snail brand adjustable spanner. They used to come in the toolbox. So they're just nice. They're a nice shape, nice and simple. Lots of material in them. And another adjustable one as well. Here it opens up. You have different holes then to, of course. Anyway, we'll get back to that. There's a name on it there as well. So they're just nice. This was for splitting lengths of a tree. After you cut them down, you would have whacked that with a hammer down into your timber to get it to start splitting. So that was again, it was to make planks. So it's not an axe or anything like that. I think I already showed the J's fluid. I didn't really show much of the restoration of them. It was just a matter of framing them and actually clear varnish them. So we have another one over here as well. So I will put them up. After I do the extension, I'm going to start paneling all this and we'll get all the shelves. They're only makeshift shelves for the time being. We've still got some more spanners there to go through. I did get more put up here. So we've got the hames here. One of them would have been each side of a horse's shoulders, neck area, and it would have been used then to pull implements and ploughs. So we got some spanners put up there. the Ford Model T. It was also used in the Ford's and N tractor for the spark plugs and for the cylinder head bolts. S-shaped ones there, usually on a plough, horse plough, like the Ransoms there as well. That I think was a Ford's and N spanner as well. The wheel nuts on them were massive, and they were just like the Ford's and Major was big as well. This came from home. We've two of them, so I left one at home. In metric, I think it's 36 mil or 1.5 inches, and that was your Ford's and Major rear wheel. Is that right in saying that? Rear wheel nuts, yeah. And we used to have to put a bar through there and then a big tubular bar over to get them to crack open. So that's a genuine Ford part. There was a Fordson truck there with the same engine as the Fordson Major, so I presume that actually came in the truck, but it did have the same wheel nuts as the Fordson Major. So that's what we used it for, because I don't think we had a 36 socket. We didn't, we only had it up to 30. So that's what we used to take on and off the wheels. Still a few more spanners to go through here. I'm trying to research this one here. It seems to have Brimham written on it, and it's strange kind of a tooted spanner. I don't know if there's some form of a plumber spanner. I can't find that on the internet on it. A long spanner there. Whitworth actually, so it is. No, BSF. BSF. 1/2 inch BSF. British Standard F, I'm not sure. I know BSP is British Standard Pipe. So some of them I'm not really sure if I want to go displaying them. I think they're just, I do have a little box here of old Whitworth spanners and stuff like that, so I might just throw a few of them in there until, because I want to keep as much display space for nice spanners, such as these with the names on them, like the BSA motorbike ones and the small Bamfords. That kind of stuff is a little bit more showy, nicer to display. So that is what we are at here. I just want to give this a bit of a clean up. I want to see, is it what they say it is? So I have my stand over here. I'm just going to throw the vernier calipers on it and see, is it 14 or 16? Because it does say that it's both. I did think that there was meant to be 2 feeder gauges on it, considering it says 14 and 16. It says 14 on the left and it says 16 on the right. When I looked on the internet, they all only had 1. So I thought maybe one of them was broken and they re-riveted, but no, they all seem to have 1. So we'll zero it, and we're on inches. So we'll just take a bit of a measurement and see what is it. So when we squeeze it very hard, it's 14. So it does seem to be in around 14 tau. Don't squeeze it too hard, 16. I suppose that's exactly the way it is when you're setting points. It's all down to the drag. So let's just have a look and see how this would have been used. It wasn't a tool that was given with a Ferguson 20 anyway. I don't think so. Take out a rotor arm. You can use this then as well as a lip there. You can lift that up. And now if I get my torch, just so we can get a better look, we'll see what's happening here. See how this was used. So I'll lower down the camera. Right, so we have our flathead here, flathead screwdriver, and that would have went in there, and it would have went over there to that one as well. So when you need to loosen them first, so that fits in there very well, and that fits in there very well. And then I presume you would have used this in there then to check your pints. So obviously after you get the cam there on the low point, so our pints are closed, so you turn the engine over to the high part then of the lobe, cam lobe, and you would, again, this bit is kind of personal preference then, of course. everyone has their own feel. You'd be looking for a certain amount of drag, so you want to get it just the engine stop at that high part there, and that have the points opening the maximum point, and then you adjust then to suit your 14-16 tow. So that's how that would have worked. I'm sure these were everywhere at one point, but they sure are nice to have. They're not necessarily something you need to have in your toolbox, because you're setting your points is usually something you do before you set off out the road. But at the same time, sure is something. Sure is nice. It's something nice to have hanging on your wall somewhere where it'll be seen. So all I'm going to do with it, to be honest, is just give it a little clean up. I want to be careful not to use any kind of sandpaper or anything on it, because it's a little bit grubby here and there, just a little bit. So the likes of a bit of WD-40, a bit of Scotch-Brite might just clean that up, take off any surface rust that's on it. All I'd be going to be doing with it. I'm not going to be hitting it with sandpaper, because that's only going to go making it thinner than it should be. Scotch-Brite won't do it, and we'll just remove any of the scum off it. It's a nice tool. I like having plenty of Lucas stuff around the place, especially the old school stuff. Lucas was in everything, even my Triumph motorbike. All Lucas electrics. And as we've seen here in this shed, the gold belly there, some of the older electrics are just better. We've tested a few of the capacitors, condensers for the ignition, and we see that the very, very old one is the one that seems to be working best, better than any of the new ones. And we have a very, very old set of points in the tractor at the moment as well. The new ones didn't like lining up, and they just aren't the same quality. And the distributor cap as well is fairly old, but it has the brass connections. So we are a fan of old school in here. So, not looking to restore this by any means at all. I'm not going to be shot blasting it around. Just give it a bit of a clean up, keep the patina, and make it a bit more usable. So the likes of that now is, that's probably about all I need to do with it. And then we just pick somewhere nice, tap a little nail, maybe somewhere there, or it might catch the light and we might see Lucas written on it. And that's another little collectible bit up. So we'll have it beside our Ferguson spanner, which is like the point gap tool there. One of them things that's just nice to have hanging about. So we've got the spanner, and we've got our spanner can go up back on the shelf. We'll keep the Imperial side out, because that's what we like working with in this shed. We don't, well, I think the way I have my nails is clearly that way, that's out. But anyway, and then we'll just throw in our spanner beside the point gap beside that. Throw it in somewhere there, maybe there out of the way, because I can be taken WD-40 and everything out of there. We don't want that hitting. This is not the kind of tool that I want sitting in the toolbox. This is the kind of tool that I want on display. If I can find wherever I put my hole. Just get a little bit of a tack in there. And of course the tack is thinner than the hole, so that's not going to hold it, so let's tap it in. We're over 2,000 badges are flying all over the shop. So we'll just hang them there and we'll see. Does anyone comment on what it is, what it's used for? But yeah, that's what it's used for, and that's what it is. From the days of non-electronic ignition and all of that. So that's probably about it for today. Little update on the parts that I've got on show. I did use this oil can on the job. This lovely Wesco oil can, works perfect. Nice little handy size filter full of oil, and we used it on the 135. There's videos of it. There's no problem with that. It's probably missing its cap on the end. It would have screwed on there. I see there's threads, and that would have been the first thing I suppose they would have lost. But what harm? I also got a set of new old stock Lucas C40 dynamo, which was used on basically everything back in the day. Used on the Gold Belly, on the Ferguson 20, on cars and every sort of a thing. So I just want to keep the box in good condition. So they're just nice to replace. Brand new, never used. We did check the dynamo in the Gold Belly and we saw that the brushes were definitely replaced at some point, and plenty of meat on them. So keep that box nice. A bit of tape on it there. I see if I try to take him off, I don't know, will it take some of it? Oh yeah, there we go. I'll try and keep him. Might actually just clear varnish him, because that sure is nice, from back in the day. And we see here it actually has BMC service, of British Motor Corporation. Leyland it became after that. Brushes, dynamo. From the days of dynamo. Nice little box. Probably 1960s, I'd say. So we have them spare, and at the same time it's still a nice little display up here with all my other Lucas goodies. We've plenty up there. So that's probably it for today. Give us and hope you enjoyed it, and we will catch you at the next video.